Welcome to That's Good Sports. I am Brandon. Tom Brady threw multiple interceptions in a game for the first time since 2018. Perna. Laugh it up, Tom. Because Cam Newton showed up to New England dressed in all yellow, as one does after Labor Day, also to honor the chicken he replaced there. Belichick without Brady is now 1-0. And remember, half of Bill's team opted out. Tom Brady without Belichick, 0-1. And this was Bill after the game describing what the competition level is like playing the Dolphins week 1.
Practice.
Probably why the Dolphins were so upset and tried to steal Cam Newton's jewelry after the game. Considering how little money Cam Newton is being paid this year, I think this is grand larceny. Now, this week in the NFL, we learned that it's been 966 days since Jerick McKinnon last played. He got back on the field, and the announcers were a little excited to talk about McKinnon.
You saw Chris circle Jerick McKinnon.
Did they say circle jerk?
Chris circled Jerick McKinnon.
It sounds like it. And only about 20 of you sent me that McKinnon clip Sunday. So, yeah, I am proud of you. My question for you savages is, which soundbite was better? The circle jerk McKinnon or
Snapper is Cox.
Justin Tucker still fudging got it? Let me know in the comments. Lots of football to digest, real football to discuss today as I present the Week 1 Football Award Show as I try and highlight as much of Sunday football as possible today. Whew, that's good sports. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want NFL news updates pretty much every damn day. Today's episode is sponsored by manscaped.com/goodsports, and it's all about sweaty balls. Ball deodorant. Ball deodorant. Ball deodorant. Ball deodorant.
Ball deodorant. Ball deodorant.
No matter the weird shape or size or texture of your testicles, I bet they sweat, which is why you need the Crop Preserver Ball Anti-Chafing Deodorant from Manscaped. Now, I recommend ball deodorizing as part of your post-shower routine. Squirt some of the Crop Preserver Aloe Vera Quick Drying Absorbing Gel onto your palm. Get enough, and then rub your balls until your hands fall off, or whatever you deem normal. It dries clear, and it keeps your balls fresh and clean. Made with all natural ingredients as well, so you know your balls are safe. Use my link, manscaped.com/goodsports for 20% off, plus free shipping, plus 2 gifts when you buy the Perfect Package 3.0, which includes the Crop Preserver. Let us begin with the featured game, the Bucs versus the Saints. It was the marquee matchup of geriatric quarterbacks, and the Saints proved that they're still wearing the pants in the NFC South. And no one is wearing the dresses, now that Cam Newton is New England. But the Bucs looked legitimately out of sync, including a few crucial miscommunications that turned into turnovers. Tom Brady finished his first drive, though, with an athletic-looking QB sneak for a 43-year-old man. But it felt like the game turned when Janoris Jenkins picked Brady off and took it to the house. In very similar fashion to how Logan Ryan ended the oppressive Brady regime in New England. Brady was the only quarterback with a pick six this weekend, and he's the first QB since Matt Schaub and Blaine Gabbert, now Brady's backup, to throw a pick six in 3 straight games, dating back to 2013. Not even Jameis is famous for that. Now, the biggest fantasy football letdowns also came from this game. Mike Evans and Michael Thomas combined for 4 receptions and 19 yards. Although Evans found the end zone on his 1 reception. Tom Brady had O.J. Howard, Gronk, and Cameron Brate, but the most impressive tight end over the weekend might have been Mark Andrews, reeling in one-handed touchdown grabs so delightful that I ended up putting on an episode of That's So Raven last night to show my respect. Then we've got some of the great finishes of the weekend. We will call these the boomerang dicks, because these teams come on backs. The Chicago Bears battled back from a 17-point deficit to beat the Lions. Mitchell Trubisky heard all of your jokes from Thursday night, and he said, "Stuff these touchdown passes in your back pocket." And considering how tight the Texans and Chiefs fans wear their Wrangler jeans, that's no easy task. Matthew Stafford drove the Lions back down the field at the end of the game, but rookie running back DeAndre Swift dropped the game-winning touchdown. Talk about a swift kick to the nuts. The reason you come here is for the most coveted award in all sports, the Big Dick Player Awards! And we're gonna hand them out like candy today. The Big Dick Quarterback of the Weekend, Russell, Bustle, and Hustle, Man Muscle Wilson, our Big Dick QB. Wilson was pretty much perfect, going 31 for 35. He had 4 touchdowns and just 4 incompletions, while Matty Ryan put up a bunch of meaningless yards, like a landscaper in Las Vegas. Wilson is now the only other QB in NFL history next to Steve Young to throw for over 30,000 yards and to rush for over 4,000 yards. Aaron Rodgers had himself a day with 4 tutties and even more time to throw the ball against Minnesota. But this season started where last year's left off as we watched Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes steal the show and have the highest passer ratings under pressure. I think Mahomes is a stretch here because I only remember the Texans pressuring him once on Thursday night. Lamar Jackson also finished Sunday with the highest overall quarterback rating at 152.1. Also, a yearly reminder that nobody understands why 158.3 is a perfect passer rating. Here's a shocker. Ben Roethlisberger has the most perfect passer ratings of any active quarterbacks with 4, which ties him all time with Peyton Manning. Lamar already has 2 under his Big Trust belt, so he could pass Big Ben. The Big Dick Running Back Award. Well, this award was really a two-way battle between Christian McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs. Alvin Kamara scored a bunch of fantasy points and touchdowns, but he only had 16 rushing yards on 12 carries, so please do not overhype his performance rushing the ball. The Panthers and Raiders, it was an old-fashioned running back showdown. Jacobs and McCaffrey combined for 189 rushing yards and 5 tutties. Josh Jacobs, I'm going to give you the Big Dick Player Award in hopes that my kindness tricks you into playing bad against the Broncos. The Big Dick Ball Handler, I debated Calvin Ridley or Devontae Adams, but eventually decided on Adams since the Packers actually won their game. 2 touchdowns for Adams, 156 yards, second only to Julio Jones on the week so far, who like clockwork had 157 receiving yards, a couple amazing grabs, and 0 touchdowns. I would like to credit Green Bay for attacking Minnesota's weakness, corners. MBS had 24 yards per reception. He and Alan Lazard combined for 159 yards and maybe dispelled the falsest narrative of this offseason. No, not that the Browns might be good, but that Green Bay employs 0 real wide receivers. Those are your Big Dick Player Awards, and a special new award, the I'm a Grower, Not a Shower Award, goes to Gardner Minshew. The Secret Garden played nearly a perfect game that won't jump out on the stat sheet. Minshew also seems to have the Colts number, something no other Jags QB has ever been able to say. He completed 95% of his passes, threw 3 touchdowns, and watched all of his wideouts celebrate without him after scoring.
The touchdown celebrations that the guys have been doing during the game, are you going to get in on any of those, or are you going to work your way into that?
Dude, they didn't tell me anything. So, I was kind of left out and kind of awkward there. But, shoot, as long as we score touchdowns, I don't really, have much right to complain.
All right, now that the awards have been given, let's run through some of the interesting stats accumulated this weekend. Baker Mayfield has had 4 different head coaches in just 30 starts, all on the same team. That's some sort of record. And his newest head coach, Kevin Stefanski, got off to just as bad of a start as the rest of them. Hell, even Freddie Kitchens and his Browns scored 13 points week 1 last year. Here's another fun stat for the Browns. They have lost or tied 21 of their last 22 season openers. Peyton Barber had more touchdowns, 2, than he averaged yards per carry, 1.7. That was on 17 carries, too. Also, more touchdowns than any of the running backs on Tampa Bay. the team that let him walk in the offseason. One of the few barbers thriving during the quarantine. Carson Wentz again was sacked 8 times by the football team's defensive line. Those football team players are hard to block, I'll tell you. 8 sacks was the most, and so were the 20 pressures Wentz faced. Cam Newton led the Patriots in rushing with 75 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Former Pats quarterback Steve Grogan rushed for 103 yards back in 1976, so Cam still has a ways to go to get that single game QB rushing record for the Patriots. Cam now has 60 career rushing touchdowns, most of any quarterback in NFL history. New England also had more rushing yards than any other team on Sunday with 217. After Cam Newton, though, Sony Michel was the leading rusher with 37 yards, making this the least impressive 200-plus rushing yard day by any team ever. Raheem Mostert's touchdown run against the Cardinals broke Matt Breida's record for fastest speed reached on a run at 22.7 miles per hour. And that was battling through a wall of ash from the California fires. Imagine what speeds he can reach without ash resistance. And finally, in the stat sheet, DeAndre Hopkins had himself a debut. Hell, the Cardinals deserve some love for beating the Super Bowl hungover 49ers.
Team had 14 catches, 152 yards.
Which was one more catch than all of the Texans receivers combined for on Thursday and just 12 fewer yards. Kyler Murray only threw for 230, so Hopkins accounted for a lot of a percent of passing yards. You can do the math. I don't get paid to do that. Murray also rushed for 91 yards, which was more than any other quarterback week 1, and 6th overall, just behind another surprise, Adrian Peterson, who had 93 rushing yards. The biggest upset had to be the Jags over the Colts, which came out of nowhere, but maybe it makes sense in hindsight, given they were the only team that played with fans on Sunday. Gardner Minshew just 1 incompletion to his 3 touchdowns, and sure enough, Phillip Rivers threw a pick late in the game down 1 score. I hate to beat a baby dead horse here, but Colts QB Rivers is more famous for 4th quarter picks than he is for having too many kids. Looks like Father Time might finally be more powerful than Father Rivers. The Colts went full Jason Statham and cranked out over 400 yards of offense. They never punted and still managed to lose the game. Welcome to life with Phillip Rivers, Colts fans. Then we move on to the officials. Who did they screw this week? Well, it happens almost every week, every season, where one fan base is particularly upset about an atrocious call that costs their team the win. None more famous than the no PI call in the Saints playoff game, and none more popular here than the Jesse James catch ruled not a catch in the Steelers-Patriots game back in 2018 that finally got the catch rule rewritten. Week 1, 2020 though, I think Cowboys fans have the most to be pissed about today. After watching only Ezekiel Elliott show up to play offense, Dallas was down 3 with less than a minute to go when Dak, somebody please give me a new contract, Prescott hit Michael Gallup down the left sideline to set up a game-tying field goal, possibly a quick shot to the end zone for the win. The officials, however, opened the hydrants and hosed the Cowboys' dreams on a very, and I mean very iffy offensive pass interference call that Michael Gallup allegedly committed after torching Jalen Ramsey. My guess is Skip Bayless paid the refs to do this to distract from his debacle this week. However, I think the refs also missed a blatant roughing call on the QB when Dallas really beat Goff, which would have benefited the Rams, negating an interception late in the 3rd. Basically, the officials were so bad in this game, they forgot who they were supposed to help, just like a Buccaneers quarterback. Check out Mike Evans punching Marshawn Lattimore in the face after Lattimore did push him, and then tricking the officials into throwing the penalty on Lattimore. At the very least here, both players should have been penalized, and at the very most, the refs should have just sent the Buccaneers home and forced them to forfeit. And that's officially bad officiating. Then we've got the hit list and the shit list. Marvin Jones is on the hit list. Jones trucks the Bears like Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, and was a big reason the Lions had a lead to blow in the first place. On my shit list is the Bengals kicker Randy Bullock, who misses a game-tying 31-yard field goal, robbing poor Joey Burrow of a chance to win the game in overtime. 31 yards is closer than an extra point, and Bullock wasn't even close. The worst part is he couldn't even remember which leg he pretended to injure on the miss. The Bengals had to list both legs as injured after this gaffe. No surprise here, considering his last name literally translates to nonsense in British talk. Bollocks! Bullocks, I tell ya. Now we've got some Seeing Ghosts awards. This wasn't a planned segment, but watching Sam Darnold's performance on Sunday inspired me to create the Seeing Ghosts award, which Sam Darnold wins in a landslide today. He was thoroughly outplayed by his draft classmate, Josh Allen, and only slightly edged out Ryan Fitzpatrick, whose ghastly passes were ghosted over to the cold, dead hands of the Patriots defense on 3 occasions. Darnold's numbers were inflated, mostly by a long catch-and-run touchdown by Jamison Crowder, and if you take that out of the equation, he finished with 146 yards and a pick. It didn't help that Frank Gore and Le'Veon Bell combined for 38 yards on the ground, just 1 more yard than Gore is old, but Darnold is obviously the first recipient of his namesake award. Fitting. And finally, we will conclude with the anti-Andy Reid face mask meme. Introducing sweaty, hatless John Gruden. The battle between him and Mark Davis for worst hair in Las Vegas has reached a fever pitch. And that is your Week 1 Sunday recapping. I will be recapping the Broncos game tomorrow, and we will be live tonight after the Broncos game, just like we are live Sunday here. And expect every Sunday, That's Good Sports live, doing just a reaction to all of the games. And then your official recaps on Monday.